SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the 2013 NHL Playoffs right now. Every series price we will be previewing, and right now we are talking with Joe Duffy, one of my absolute favorite guests all time. His website is offshoreinsiders.com with an S. Joe, thanks for being back with us.
Well, thank you very much, Peter, for asking me to come on. I love football, but the NHL, going back to my youth, probably my favorite sport.
Absolutely, and I know you've been handicapping for 30-odd years. Tell us a little bit quickly about yourself and offshoreinsiders.com before we talk about the Rangers and Capitals.
It is approaching 30 years. I go back to the score phone days of the 1980s, where I was known as JD of the ACC, and then eventually came on the internet. And my permanent home is now a website that is totally mine, offshoreinsiders.com. But yeah, a lot of those old-time gamblers will remember me from the old score phone days doing the 900 number JD of the ACC.
All right. Well, I'm very, very happy to have you with us and previewing the NHL playoffs. Now, we're going to start with the Rangers Capitals. This is a fascinating series. Right now, the series odds that I've last seen at Pinnacle has the Capitals at -108 and Rangers -102, so it's almost a dead even opening line on the series prices. And of course, you know, the Capitals were completely out of sync in the first half of the year. Second half of the year, they came on like absolute gangbusters. They were profitable on the year, the 7th most profitable team in hockey. The Rangers, a lot of people were expecting them to be one of the absolute elite teams of the NHL this year, and that, of course, didn't happen. They were slightly unprofitable. Number 15 in the league in terms of the money standings. But, you know, the playoffs, things tend to change. They do have a great goalie, Lundqvist, in goal. So I'm not sure. I would think if I had to make a bet here on the series price, I would take the Capitals at -108. I'm just not a believer in the Rangers. But then again, you know, things can completely change the playoffs. They could turn it around. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I'm one of those people that I won't make any bones about it. I am a New York Rangers fan, but the golden rule of handicapping, never bet with your heart. And if anything, it's usually the other extreme. I have to fight myself trying not to be too negative on the teams that I root for. But this is one of those cases where I definitely like the Rangers. As you mentioned, they're a team that has underachieved this year. Like the Capitals, they did peak at the end of the year, and although the Capitals were technically hotter, if you want to say which team was hotter entering the end of the year, the reason it's quite significant for the Rangers is they have finally started playing up to their level. They are one of the top teams in the NHL. This is a case where, most importantly, the thing that they lacked last year was scoring. The thing that they lacked during most of the regular season was scoring, but they're finally putting the biscuit in the basket, and Rick Nash was acquired just for this occasion. He was acquired for the playoffs, to score in the playoffs, to add some scoring touch. Ryan Callahan got hot at the end of the year. Lundqvist, as you said, one of the top goalies in the NHL, a little bit of a Tony Romo type where he needs to prove a little bit more in the postseason, but that has to do a lot with the fact he hasn't gotten that goal support. Did win the playoff first round last year against, very importantly, against the Washington Capitals. But now that the Rangers are getting some scoring, I actually am going to have to pick with my brain and my heart actually agree with each other, and I'm going with the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a tough one because I admit I was one of the people who in the beginning of the year thought the Rangers were going to be one of the elite teams in the league and one of the best teams to bet on. I quickly changed that opinion in the first few weeks, and you know, the Rangers tended to be one of these teams that, you know, when people said they were betting on them, they tended to lose in like big situations, and the Capitals were kind of the opposite. They were one of those teams that, you know, you felt good about betting on and betting on their overs, and a lot of it had to do with Ovechkin. But I guess, you know, in the playoffs, what they say, you know, if you have a goalie that gets absolutely hot, and Lundqvist, of course, we could see that. We could see Lundqvist, you know, having 2 or 3 shutouts in this series alone. But the Capitals' offense, and most importantly, their power play, so they're tops in the league in power play offense, and that's huge in the playoffs, isn't it?
No question. And Mike Green coming back for Washington was big. He's very key on the power play from the point. And when you mentioned Ovechkin, that is true. And this gets back to a long-time debate. We could probably do a half-hour video on this. But in the NBA and the NHL, where the defenses get tighter, I think a lot of the squares think the defense is more important. It's quite the opposite. Points are more at a premium, and the ability to get, and we're talking about the NHL now, the ability to get goals in the NHL actually becomes more important. So yes, to have a guy like Ovechkin, that is no small thing, and to get Green back. But then, as I said, the Rangers also added from last year Nash. Now, all in all, of course, I'd rather have Ovechkin ahead of Nash, but Nash is a big addition from last year. But you are right. The Capitals, one of their X factors can be the power play with Greenback and Ovechkin, one of the top offensive players in the league. I have to agree with the odds makers and I guess all the quote-unquote experts. It is likely going to go 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
A 4-game sweep or a 5-game series will be a surprise to many, even me, even though I do believe that my Rangers are going to eventually be the winner.
Yeah, maybe the best way to bet the series prices might just be on 7 games because these two teams do tend to go play long series, and this year has it all written over it. All right, well, you like the Rangers here. My very, very slight lean would be towards the Capitals, but I definitely wouldn't bet them on the series prices. We'll know a lot more after games 1 and 2. Joe Duffy from Offshore Insiders, thanks so much. Great preview as expected.